everyone, and welcome to another edition of Choose to Challenge. I am LaWanna Bradford, and we want to thank you for joining us each and every week on E360 TV, where we're also streaming on LinkedIn and Facebook. And what is so amazing about this show is it was actually started during Women's History Month, and that is the month that we're in, a time to celebrate and honor those women whose shoulders we stand on from the past, the trailblazers of today who are hoping to build inspiration and hope for the next generation. One of the things that I'm excited about with Choose the Challenge is our goal is to help push the envelope when it comes to systems, biases, mindsets, institutions that are preventing women from elevating and expanding to their best and highest self. I have a very special guest, and I am so excited to have none other than a colleague and an inspiring leader and influencer that is needed in today. Her sound is being elevated and resounded around the world, none other than Dr. Michele D. Clark. How's it going, Dr. Michele?
Oh, I am doing super and fantastic, LaWanna. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for saying yes and taking time out of your busy schedule for this special Women's History Month episode, where we will be talking about how to live inspired, free, and transformed. And we're going to package this into your lived experience. So I want our audience to really lean in, because sometimes we think, that may not be for me. But whether you've gone through this experience or know someone who's gone through it, I guarantee you that it can be related to anytime you find yourself facing a life tsunami, correct?
Absolutely, 100%, yes.
Well, I want to tell the audience a little bit about you. You're an inspired speaker, you're an author, you've had over 20 years in the mental health profession. Now you are a new entrepreneur. And it doesn't seem like you're new, because you are out there blazing. And just congratulations to you and all that you're doing, and your company, LIFT, which is Living Inspired, Free, and Transformed with Breast Cancer. And I know this month, as this is a major anniversary for you, and we're going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit about why this month is so important. It just happens to be Women's History Month, but for you, it has a special significance. But women around the world are facing challenges, physical challenges, mental challenges, emotional challenges. And the numbers of individuals who have struggled with breast cancer are staggering. And I don't know, Dr. Michele, if it's just because we're so plugged in to the media now, we're hearing more of it, but it just seems like it's more rampant than ever before. And so I just want to stop right now and have you tell a little bit about your story, because even before that diagnosis, you went through several other health tsunamis.
Yeah, yes, I did, LaWanna. And, I like to just start off with saying I'm just a small town girl with big time dreams, who God has definitely shown his grace and his mercy, and he has saved me from some life-threatening things. And LaWanna, when I talk about small town, I'm talking about Harvey. Most folks don't even know where that is.
Yeah, I don't either. Where is Harvey?
Yeah, it's near the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
And, unfortunately, you don't have to be a reporter on America's Most Wanted to know how Chicago got its nickname, Chirac, during the time when I was growing up. And because of some of the tumultuous things that were happening around that time, I was exposed to complex traumas, if you will. But the good news about that is that my parents were very instrumental in my life, helped to raise me, emphasize education. So yes, I did get my bachelor's in psychology, my master's in social work. I've been recognized for a PhD in entrepreneurship and business administration. But I also like to tout that I have a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks, because I have been through a lot of different things. And some of those complex traumas really impacted me emotionally and mentally, where I began to feel as if I was less than. And then to top that off, I know you had talked about breast cancer being more rampant. And obviously we have more diagnostics and more tools that can help people to be aware, and then of course go through and get the medical help they need to be diagnosed. So on that horizon, it's a good thing. but it's not a good thing that we have to go through this experience in the way that we do. And so, yes, prior to breast cancer, I did experience some other health issues, including 2 strokes and a mini stroke. So it was very devastating to have the 2 strokes and then directly 1 year later be diagnosed with breast cancer. So, it's nothing you can really prepare for, LaWanna. You can't, all the things that we go through when those things happen in our life, sometimes you really just can't prepare yourself. Even as a licensed mental health therapist and being able to help people in crisis situations, it's a little bit different when that crisis comes and knocks on your doorstep.
Yeah, I totally understand. And you're right. It's like you have all of this professional training, you have all the tools, and suddenly you're the patient.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've been able to experience caregiving, if you will, from different angles. So I have a special needs son, so I've been his caregiver. And so I'm used to giving care, right? And then as a therapist and a life coach, I'm used to giving care to others in that capacity. So then when the lens now is from me being in need of a caregiver, it was so challenging for me, LaWanna, because I'm so used to doing. I'm a high achiever, high performer. I do the best that I can with everything I do. I strive for excellence in everything. And so I'm used to doing. And so when I had the strokes and when I had breast cancer, I wasn't able to do those things for myself. I actually had to fly my mom into town, and my sister, she has played an instrumental role as well. But I had to literally allow others to care for me. And it gave me a different perspective on what it means. Again, being a doer, now being able to allow others to do. I now understand how others felt in that situation. So it gave me that much more of a bird's eye view that then opened up to different perspectives. And it was life-changing.
I love that you shared that, because we as women, we are in the nurturing and traditionally, I'm not saying all, but traditionally that caregiving role. And I think the one thing that is a challenge for us is we are conditioned from a very early age, to be strong and put on your Wonder Woman and your Superwoman pose. And we don't give ourselves permission to be vulnerable and to say, I need some help. I can't do this. I need to allow myself to weaken from that position of strength, in public facing strength, so that I can allow myself to heal. Right. And that's not easy to do when you've been conditioned about, you got to show up, you got to be strong. And like you said, you're in the mental health profession, which is, just comes with another set of variables. You're a mother. You have a special needs son. And then knock, knock. Right? Yes. Before we get in, I want you to go a little bit deeper into that. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today, which is Chemo Buddies for Life, and we will be right back.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for Life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
One of the things that I love about that commercial is it talks about the importance of community and connections. And through your journey, and if you could take us through this, how you went through this, are still in your healing and recovery, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, possibly even financially. Where did you get the inspiration and insight to say, you know what, through this journey, through this hell that I've been through, I see the rainbow. I see this beacon of hope that I can be for the world. And I want to create a business and a community around this message of lift. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely, LaWanna. You know, when I first did hear those words, when the commercial came on, it touched me as well, because it says, if you hear those words, you have breast cancer, then it changes a lot of dynamics in your life. And when I heard that, LaWanna, I actually was at work. I was in between clients, and my doctor called me, and the call that I got was, "Hey, Michelle, how are you?" "Oh, I'm doing fine. You know you have cancer, right?"
Really?
Yes. That was my call. And I paused for a moment and said, "No, I didn't, but okay. And what do we do next?" I didn't have the luxury of time to be able to really emotionally process that. And it might have been a good thing at that moment, because I was in between clients. So I had to stay relatively cerebral, so that way I could finish out my day. In retrospect, I was angry. I was angry at that's how it was delivered to me. It wasn't really packaged in compassion. And so, but I had to move forward. So one of the things that I've always been taught by my parents, and my mom in particular would always drill into us, is that identifying the problem is just the first step. The next one is, okay, what are you going to do to resolve that? And so that's probably why my line of questioning to the doctor then was, okay, so what do we do next? Now that we've identified that, yes, I do have cancer. And so with that, I got a second opinion. And yes, I did have cancer. And yes, I did have to have a mastectomy. And so it was an option to either do bilateral or unilateral, meaning having one breast removed, the cancerous one, or having both of them removed, even the non-cancerous one. I chose to go down the route of just attending to the one that had the cancer. And so we did that. And then we had the mastectomy. And so after the mastectomy, I was told that we could not do an immediate reconstruct because of the fact that the lymph nodes, cancer was found in my lymph nodes. So then we had to do radiation therapy. So after radiation therapy, had to heal from that. Did that for a full month, 5 days a week, and was able to ring that bell. And then it's like, okay, so now I know, right? Celebrate. So now what's next? Well, what was next was, okay, now I'm ready for the reconstruction. Well, it wasn't that simple, because I was on certain medications, life-preserving medications, because the strokes that I had prior to cancer. I was not able to do reconstruction. I had to wait. So just before I got cleared, LaWanna, for reconstruction, I had a mini stroke.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So then I had to wait a little bit longer. Finally, fast forwarding to, because my journey started back in 2015. The mastectomy was 2016. So now let's fast forward to 2019, finally cleared to start the reconstruction process. And we did, only to have 2020 happen. As we all know, COVID hit. So while I was in mid reconstruction, we had to stop and delay. So let some time pass, of course, let the world start to heal and open up again. And so I rescheduled the next surgery for March 23rd, 2023. Went in, cap and gown on, marked up the body. The surgeon's ready to take me to the back. I just had to pass one test before they would wheel me to the back. And the nurse came out, and I saw the look on her face, LaWanna. And I was like, oh, no. No. Yes. She says, I'm so sorry. we can't move forward with your surgery. You have to leave. And I was absolutely devastated. All of the emotional preparation, physical preparation, making sure that both of my kids were cared for, because I also have a daughter. And so making sure that my special needs son and my daughter, that they had care in place, making sure my clients were taken. It's just all of these things, this preparation that goes into a surgery. And the most part of it is, when I say that cap and gown, I call it that because I call it graduating to the other side of surgery. So I had all of this pent up inside me, ready for that release, to be on the other side. And there was no release.
So I just want to pause 1 second
Yes.
in case the audience missed this. So we're here with Dr. Michele Clark, and we are talking about how to live inspired, free, and transformed in this life after breast cancer. You said that you were already marked up
Mm-hmm.
in your surgical garb, ready to go in.
Yes.
And then they wheeled you back out and said, sorry, we can't proceed.
Yes. So they hadn't wheeled me in just yet, but they came.
But you were ready. You were prepped. You were prepped.
Yes, I was already prepped. It was just the transition to the OR. That's it.
Wow.
And they said, I'm sorry, we can't perform your surgery today. You have to leave. And it was absolutely devastating. I don't know of another time that I've ever felt that shaken before and knocked off of my square, and then having to recover. And none of my training, none of my education, none of my prior experiences, none of those things, none of my expertise, none of those things, LaWanna, prepared me to hear that and be in that moment that I could not have that surgery. But I had to leave. So that's what I did. And then I had to do a lot of thinking, soul searching, figuring out what's going on, talking with my higher power. And it wasn't an easy conversation. It wasn't one of those, oh, dear Lord, please answer me. No, it was like, God, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening to me? I've been through so much already. I've had all these traumas happen. I've already had 2 strokes. I had, now breast cancer, and then the mastectomy, and then radiation therapy, and then a mini stroke. What is going on? We started the reconstruction process. We had some delays and hiccups in those hookups. What is going on? Why is Murphy's Law just on steroids in my life? Why couldn't you move? A lot of people said, LaWanna, why, God, he kept you from being able to, something must have happened, was going to happen in OR or something. He was keeping you safe. I said, well, God is almighty. Why couldn't he move those things out the way and let me have the surgery?
Yeah, let's be real, right? And
yes.
I love what you're saying, because to those that are leaning in, this is real world speaking, right? It's not pie in the sky. It's not let's have this just pious approach. It's anger, what I hear. It's frustration. It's confusion. It's like, when is enough enough? And I'm certain there's many of you out there that have felt that or may be feeling that. So lean in as Dr. Michele walks us through how she got through this web.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that recap. And the thing is, LaWanna, so with that process, with me having that heart to heart, with me being angry and frustrated, confused, and even sad, I still had to move forward. I had to collect myself. And what I heard was that if I had done all of those things, if I'd moved those things out of the way and you went on with your surgery, you wouldn't have known it was me. And I wouldn't have paused, LaWanna, in my pain. Because what I realized when I had to sit down, peace be still, is that prior to, I'd been glossing over the you have breast cancer diagnosis. I've been glossing over that. And when I say glossing over, meaning that just continue to do and give and pour into others, and just running, doing. And I didn't take the time to really pause and appreciate what I had gone through, and that I'm on this side of the dirt. I'm alive. so many countless women, unfortunately, hear that diagnosis and they're not here to share their story, and yet I am. And so I paused in that pain. We rescheduled for May, and guess what? It didn't go through then either. 10 days before my surgery, caught COVID.
Oh my goodness.
First time since COVID hit, I caught COVID 10 days before my surgery. So I had to call and cancel. And then we rescheduled for August 14th, and it did go through. I started to learn LaWanna 3 definitely is my favorite number. I'm born on the third day, third month, I'm the third child. So it was only befitting that the third time was a charm, right? And so I can look at this humorously now, but I promise you, when I was going through it, it wasn't a lot funny to me.
Right.
It was very unnerving and disheartening. But what I was able to do, instead of just staying in that bitter mode, I really paused to get a different perspective. And what I was able to do was to pull out from that pain my purpose and my passion, and understand that it was my promise to be here. So that way I could be that beacon of light for other women who've heard those words, you have breast cancer, and help them on the other side of picking up those pieces. Because once we recover, and I say recover, once we recover, I put the quotes there because it's still a journey. As a matter of fact, I have another surgery in April. So, but the journey, so when they say when cancer is done with you, or when you're done with cancer, it may not be done with you. When you're done radiation, it may not be done with you. So we still have these long time effects that still run in our lives. You may be experiencing fatigue. I know I am. You know, may have to reconfigure your life because what we were able to do, we may not be able to do it again. We may not be able to keep at that same pace. We may have to change some things, and definitely focusing on the self-care. And so with that, I was able to gain that perspective. And that's how Lift After Breast Cancer was birthed in October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. After all of those months of being able to really just sit with my emotions, unpack them, process them. That was the key. And then being able to pull out the lesson and turn it into a blessing. So now I can help others who are picking up the pieces. Yeah, I'm recovered from breast cancer. Now what? Now what do I do? Now how do I move forward and feel whole and complete again? Maybe even reimagine my life, reinvent myself, get in touch with my purpose and my passion so I can move forward and live in my promise. That's why Lift After Breast Cancer was birthed.
I love that. We're going to do a quick takeaway. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about Lift.
We will win, we will win in the end. We will win in the end. We can lose, we can lose. We can lose if we choose. We will win.
We are here again with Dr. Michele Clark. We are talking about her life journey, her lived experiences going through tsunami after tsunami after tsunami, with the diagnosis finally ending up being you have cancer, and then tsunami after tsunami after tsunami. And from that experience, your pain, you said you found your purpose and your passion, and have since founded the organization, the company, Lift. Live Inspired, Free, and Transformed with Breast Cancer.
After breast cancer. Sorry.
After
Yes.
breast
Yes, after.
after breast cancer. Well, if you have breast cancer, lean in. It may be a resource for you, right? Still, but definitely after breast cancer. I'm going to ask this question, and it may be too soon. It may not be too soon. I'm not certain. You started this in October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We are now in your anniversary month of your surgery a year ago. In these 6 months, after being inspired to create this company, if you can fast forward 5 years from now, tell us, how do you see yourself, and how is Lift After Breast Cancer transforming the world?
Absolutely. When I started Lift After Breast Cancer, I realized that there were a lot of things that us as breast cancer survivors have gone through and then still have yet to go through. And so the premise of what I wanted to inspire others, because when we say living inspired free and transformed, is really to create a space for breast cancer survivors to thrive with each other. I know we talked earlier about how important community is, and I want to expound upon that. You see, when I was going through my breast cancer journey, my personal breast cancer journey is what I call it. And I actually did LinkedIn articles every single day in the month of October. And that helped me to inspired me to move forward with Lift After Breast Cancer, the company. And with my personal journey with breast cancer, there were people around me who loved me and cared for me, family, friends, coworkers, colleagues, business partners, and the like. But each and every one of them, and I shouldn't say but, and each and every one of them did not ever hear those words, "You have breast cancer." So although they were able to be supportive of me in my journey, they didn't know the walk. They didn't know the walk. And so with Lift After Breast Cancer, my mission is to create a company, an organization, a community where each and every one of us as breast cancer survivors can thrive with a community who knows the walk. Now, everybody's journey obviously is different. It's just as different as our handprint and the pupils in our eyes. But at the same time, we all know the walk. We've all had that journey, that walk. And so that's what this is about. So when someone who's a part of the community says, I get you, I understand. It's, I get you, I understand, because they've walked that walk. And so with that, the synergies that will transpire within the group, because we'll be able to heal through catharsis from us interacting with each other, from us hearing each other's stories and lifting each other up. And in those moments when we're finding ourselves feeling down or depleted and needing someone to turn to, we know that it's just a phone call away or a click away or email away or a retreat away. Because as a part of Lift After Breast Cancer, LaWanna, we'll be putting together spacations, retreats where we can have fun, let our hair down, take our hair off, whatever, but just be ourselves and enjoy each other, enjoy living life and living it abundantly, not going back to what was, but finding the renewal in who we want to be and elevating who we already are. I say, Michelle, I love where I am now. Then let's elevate. Let's move forward and do that. So that's what the Lift After Breast Cancer community is going to be able to do for others. Our community of conquerors will be able to inspire and lift each other up. So yes, we will have retreats. We'll also have coaching. So it'll be 3 pillars. So there are 3 pillars with Lift After Breast Cancer, and that's coaching, courses, and community, with a heavy, heavy emphasis on community. So that way, no breast cancer survivor will ever feel like they have to do their journey alone.
Yeah, I love that. I wasn't diagnosed with breast cancer, but I was diagnosed with a blood cancer, which is lymphoma. And no one wants to hear the C word. And the type that I had was very rare. So it was rare for a woman to have it, or it was rare for someone of African American descent to have it. And I remember going, so you're talking about community. I went to this national convention of leukemia, lymphoma and they were talking about your trial meds and other things that were available. And so you had everybody, all types of these cancers, because there's different, just like breast cancer, there's different types, were in this major ballroom. And then they called out, they had the different breakout groups for the different cancer types. And then they mentioned mine. And I'm like, okay. And I march on. And that's when it hit me. So I'm going back to why community is so important. That's when I felt almost isolated, because in this massive room where there were over 1,000 cancer patients, when I went to my room, there were 6 of us. And that's when I thought, oh my gosh, like you said, some things you don't process. And I heard them say this is rare, but I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, but then I'm like, this is rare. Now what? And you're right. The importance of community, not just what you're developing, the formal community, but then teaching individuals. And I think this is part of your program, how to tap into their family community. Because I've heard so many people, they don't know how to talk to their family about what they're going through. Can you just talk a little bit about that? And just because you mentioned you had your mother there and you had a support network within your family.
Yes, I do. And it is so important for us to have these conversations. And I'm glad that you asked me this question, because I definitely would like to touch on my family history. So my grandmother also had breast cancer, and it was her left breast as well. But when she was going through it, first of all, I was a little girl. And back in the day, and even still now, it's still almost like a taboo. Like we don't really talk about cancer as much as we could, but the awareness is happening, and I'm excited about that. But back when I was growing up, we didn't talk about cancer or diabetes. You either called it sugar or the big C. It really wasn't something that was spoken about. And so when my grandmother had breast cancer, I didn't even know it. So I just remember going to her house, and she used to be a smoker. And I remember going to the house and smelling the smoke and seeing the ashtray and seeing this little purse she'd carry and have her smokes in there. And then one day I didn't smell smoke anymore. I didn't see that little fog. I didn't see her ashtray. Didn't see her carrying a little pouch. But what I did notice is that she started to put this padding in one side of her bra with the safety pin. And one day I happened to see her disrobe, and I saw that the left breast was missing. It was gone. And as a kid, I was perplexed, like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't know anything about cancer. Fast forward the tape. I have a daughter, and I was on the couch after I got my diagnosis, and I didn't have that conversation. I didn't say to her, I have breast cancer immediately, but she saw me watching some videos because I wanted to educate myself on breast cancer and the process once I heard those words. And I'm glad she did walk past, because she was like, Mommy, what's that? And I said, and it was actually I was watching the surgeries of the mastectomies. And so we sat down and we had that conversation, and I talked to her about it. And I let her know that Mommy's going to be down for a while, meaning that I'm not going to be able to do the things, and Grandma's going to be flying in town. So I gave her that education. I talked to her about it. And I think that made all the difference in the world when she actually saw it happening. Now, of course, I know it's a little different from when I was growing up and my grandma was diagnosed, because I wasn't living in the household with her. But my daughter is living in the household with me. And so it was that much more important to have those conversations. So as a licensed mental health therapist who work with children and families, it's so important for us to have this open dialogue, and not just about cancer, not just about illnesses, but in general, educating our children on worldly topics, such as this being Women's History Month. Educating our families on the different strides that we've made as women, and that we're, both you and I are able to sit here and talk now about this. So yes, and then fast forwarding with Lift After Breast Cancer and having this community where we're able to talk about these things and share it with other people, again, who know the walk, maybe not the journey, but definitely know the walk. So LaWanna, even though we don't have the same type of cancer, we both had cancer that had to be eradicated out of our bodies. So that still gives us this commonality to be able to have this compassion and empathy that transcends someone who may not have experienced that. And so that's why it's so much more important for us to advocate, to talk about it, just like on wonderful shows like this. Choose a challenge, for us to talk about it on stages, for us to talk about it with our colleagues, for us to write articles, blogs, awareness, host different types of symposiums or awareness and brunches, but for us to really be able to communicate and open up those lines of communication, so that way we can increase the awareness, and hopefully we can lessen the amount of times that people will have to hear those words, "You have cancer." And if they do hear those words, that it's not a life sentence or death sentence, I should say, but they're able to live and then live more abundantly on the other side of that diagnosis.
I love that. And I think that's so important for those of you who are listening. If you have had a recent diagnosis of cancer of any type, I know it's easier said than done, especially as you were going through the journey, but you are not your diagnosis. And that's what I think LIFT is helping to individuals to remember and to reimagine and to tap into their divine genius and greatness and explore how beautiful they are physically, even scars and all, right? Because that it only defines you if you allow it to. We're bigger than that. We're greater than that. And I just need to put this up again, that you took your pain, the change in your body, the mental, emotional changes that you were going through, the social changes that I know you had to go through to uncover a greater purpose and a passion. And now this hiccup in your life, the tsunami in your life, has enabled you to stand at the door with your arms open, telling women there is hope. You've been there, you've done it, you've got the t-shirt, you're still going through part of the journey. But I think that's what women and men, because men are diagnosed with breast cancer too, need to hear more and more messages of hope. And I love that you said, and I like how you said it. So if you could say it again, you say, live inspired, free. And then
yes, living inspired, free, and transformed. and you know what? The snap came about because the fact that being able to change and transform literally can happen like this. And a lot of people are like, no, it takes time to change. It takes a decision to change, and you can decide like this. And then, yes, there are some steps that you have to enact in order to manifest those changes. But the decision can be just like this. In an instant, you can transform your mind and realize that, no, you're not your diagnosis. You're not defined by your diagnosis. And that was the one thing that I ran from so much, because I didn't want to be known as that girl who had cancer, that girl who had breast cancer. I was running from the diagnosis. And what I didn't understand is that, no, I'm not defined by my diagnosis. I'm refined by my diagnosis. I'm refined by what I went through. The things that I went through helped to build me to the person you see before you today. So had I not gone through those things, I don't know who I would be today. I would assume I'd still be performing at my best in whatever life curve and ball had thrown to me, right? But I wouldn't be this person. I definitely wouldn't have started Lift After Breast Cancer if I didn't hear those words, if I hadn't been impacted, if I didn't have to sit down and pause in my pain to pull out my purpose. If all of those things didn't line up and happen, and so some people say happen to you, it doesn't happen to us. See, it happens for us, and it may sound a little controversial,
right?
But it happens for us, so that way we can go through what we go through it, then reach back and help someone else. So it doesn't happen to us, it happens through us.
On that note, I'm going to ask you this question.
Yes.
Seeing yourself today.
Yes.
Now let's go back 10 years ago. And looking at yourself then. If someone had, and I'm listening to, I'm looking at your presence. I'm feeling the energy, even though we're not in the same room. I'm hearing the power, the confidence that's in your voice, and this almost like you're waving this banner, like, no, this is going to happen. Change will happen through me from this experience. If someone had shown you yourself back then of where you are now, would you have believed this is you? Did you have this level of strength and power and certainty in your walk 10 years ago?
That is a really, really good question, LaWanna. And I would have to say that I've always had a presence about myself. I've always been dynamic. However, in those moments, because of some of the things that I experienced when I was younger, some of the self-identity issues that were enhanced when I had to have the mastectomy, which was back in 2016. And when that happened, yes, I still moved forward in confidence, but sometimes behind closed doors, the tears flowed. The questions happened. Looking in the mirror at the image, seeing something that wasn't the same, having that constant reminder that I had breast cancer. Every time I'd wash up, every time I'd put on lotion, every time I'd put on clothes that didn't fit the same anymore, even having to wear a different type of brassiere. All of those things took a toll on my self-identity and my self-esteem. And I had to recover from that. So in those moments, if someone would have fast forwarded the picture to where I am today, I would have said, whew, I have some mountains to climb. I have some roads to trek. But fortunately, I was able to do that. And I was able to pause and pull out that purpose and passion. And I want to talk a little bit about the vision because of what I went through. And knowing that we have these ideals or ideologies, these perspectives about what beauty is. If we would fast forward from today, 5 years from now, the vision that I have for Lift After Breast Cancer is changing that standard of beauty because of what I felt back then when I was shaken because of the image I saw in the mirror, seeing my hair starting to fall out, seeing the scar left on my chest and also on my back because the reconstruction surgery that I chose was the latissimus dorsi flap. So now I have scars on the front and the back. So seeing those things and feeling that I'm less than, feeling that I'm not as beautiful because of what I've been through. My vision for Lift After Breast Cancer is changing that standard of beauty for women so that it encompasses the things that we go through. Because of the things that we've experienced, it is enhancing our beauty, not detracting from it. We are all imperfectly perfect. And our differences, our nuances, our diversity is what makes us beautiful. Just imagine if we were all carbon copies, everyone just exactly the same. How boring would that be in life?
Yeah, we'd be living in the Twilight Zone.
I know, right? And I just heard the music, Twilight Zone music. That'd be horrible.
Yes.
So then why is it that on the flip side, if we can see how horrible it would be for us to be carbon copies of each other, why is it so difficult sometimes to embrace our differences? It doesn't have to be. Again, it's that transform is the renewing of the mind. And it starts here. It starts with me. It starts with you. And it starts with Lift After Breast Cancer.
I love that. And that is, It's just a perfect echo of what this month's theme is for National Women's History Month, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And for International Women's Day, it was inclusivity. We're going to do a quick takeaway, and then we're going to talk a little bit about an event that you have upcoming.
I've been searching for a gold mine, been digging for a long time, looking for a diamond of the rarest kind. Then one day I found a perfect treasure, a worth of impossible measure. I started to pray, then I heard you say you would forever be mine. I struck love, now that I have found you, I struck love.
So you are in celebration of your anniversary, your surgery. You have an event coming up, and make sure I have that correct here. Lift After Breast Cancer Celebration, Elevation, Transformation Brunch, March 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tell us all about it. How can people be a part of it? Is it in person? Is it virtual? And who is it for? And what do you hope to accomplish? That's a lot.
Yes. Well, I'm excited about this, LaWanna. I'm super excited about it because I told you all about my journey back in 2023, March 23rd, and it was so devastating. And so one of the things that was placed on my heart was to transform that date of devastation into celebration. And so 1 year after that date of devastation, we are having our celebration, elevation, transformation brunch. And yes, it is in person, and yes, it is virtual. So we have a hybrid. So no matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to participate. Now for in person, it's going to be in Michigan, in Southfield at the Great Lakes Culinary Center. And it's only for women, only in person. However, for our virtual viewing, it's open to everyone, right? It's open to everyone. And so with that, it is for breast cancer survivors and also supporters. Because I'm telling you, without our supporters, it would make the journey that much more difficult for us to move through our personal journeys. And so we want to make sure that we're celebrating. So yes, what to expect? We're going to have a little bit of, well, not a little bit, we're going to have a keynote from myself. So we're going to address Lift After Breast Cancer, a little bit of my journey. So that's where the little bit comes in. And then where we're headed in the future. We're going to have fun. We're going to have games, prizes. Of course, we're going to have food. And then we're going to have some self-care activities that can both be done in person and virtually, because we want to make sure to include our virtual viewers as well. In person, we'll also have the brunch. So you can feel free to have brunch with us in your own homes, but we will be providing the food and the meal on site, as well as there will be vendors present. So we have some vendors from different organizations who are affiliated with breast cancer and the like, and wellness and healthcare that will be on site. So you'll be able to mingle with some of the vendors and, of course, fellowship with other supporters and survivors who will be in the room. So we're looking for a synergetic event that I am super excited about. And, again, being able to transform that date of devastation and transform it into celebration. I encourage you all to come out. If you also want to celebrate your life, whether you are a survivor supporter, come out and celebrate with us. And of course, if you refer others, we have some prizes for that as well. So we're just looking to have games, fun, prizes, and enlightenment. Because I always like to leave the audience with something that they can now, when you leave this type of an event and you're charged up and you're inspired, now what? What next? Because as we all know, LaWanna, life's going to happen. Life is going to happen. And so what can you do in those moments? What kind of tools can you put in your toolbox to take with you? So that way you can keep this energy, you can keep this hope and keep that light burning. So those are the types of things that you're going to get from our celebration, elevation, and transformation brunch.
This is exciting. I can see, and I know things are building with you and you're starting to create momentum with your company. But I can definitely, as you were talking, I can see having, cells all over the country and eventually the world, everyone having this Lift After Breast Cancer Celebration, Elevation, Transformation Brunch. Can you imagine? And you're in a place and seeing all the multi screens of the different countries and women waving, and yeah, you've got something pretty amazing going on. And I know some of you are saying, well, there's Susan B. Komen, and there's this and there. Yes, there is. But do you know how many billions of women are in the world? Right? It takes all of us to touch locally, our communities, our families. It's definitely needed, and especially within our marginalized populations. It's important, I think, for us to see people who look like us, who've gone through the experience, because in our communities, you don't air your dirty laundry, keep quiet about it, but we have to open up and let people know that you can survive, but you can also thrive. And as you said, the change happens in a moment, so you can be transformed.
Yes, absolutely. And this is our inaugural. So this is our first annual. So it's always something about the first. You definitely want to be a part of the first. So I'm super excited that we're able to kick this off this month in Women's History Month. And also on that, a year from that date when I was told that I had to leave the hospital. That was devastating to me. So this is personal for me. Yes. It's very personal for me. And I know that others who will be attending, it'll be equally personal for them. And we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate life.
I love that. We are almost out of time, and I want to give you time to speak to our audience, whatever is on your heart. And I will be back in a little bit.
First of all, I want to thank you all for tuning in to Choose to Challenge. This has been a very special time for me to be able to share with each and every one of you. I want to tell a little bit of a story. I know we talked about how I had some challenges with my own self-image when I was going through that time when I had to have the mastectomy. And in those moments, it was difficult for me. I had I call it an atypical relationship with my breast because of being teased when I was younger. And with that, it left the emotional scars as I was growing up. And then when I had the mastectomy, I had the physical scars. It was so challenging for me in those moments. I'm so happy and grateful that I've been able to move through this journey and understand that what I've been through has helped to build me to who I am today. And this person before you now is able to lift up other women who've experienced the same types of challenges, even if it wasn't the exact same. So what I want you to take from this is that whatever you've gone through, whatever you've been through, it doesn't diminish your character. If you have, let's say, $100 bill, and you crinkle that bill up, and you may even step on it, and you may crumple it up, when you open it back up, how much is it worth? It's still worth $100. And so in life, whatever you've been through, the things that you go through, you're still valuable. And so I want to leave you with the LIFT acronym: living inspired, free, and transformed. These are things that you can do from this point forth. Hold this near and dear to your heart. LIFT. The L stands for living. And that is for us to live every day of our life as it is our last. Live your life and live it more abundantly. I, inspired, living inspired. So live an inspired life, meaning that every step that you take, draw something from it, learn the lesson, so that way you can move forward, be inspired, and then inspire others by drawing out the lesson and giving it to someone else. And then free, living free. That doesn't just mean freedom from other people's opinions, freedom from other people's perspectives and standards of beauty. It also means freedom from self, freeing ourselves from those shoulds, musts, and oughts, the things that we feel we should, must, or shouldn't, or mustn't, all of those things. Free yourself from that. You are able to be whoever you choose to be. And then transformed. Living transformed. That means that you take the culmination, the accumulation of everything, your expertise, your experience, your education, take all those things, all the walk of life that you've had, and put it together and find out, what is your purpose? What is your passion? And transform that into your promise. So, living inspired, free, and transformed. You choose. You get to choose to do that. And I hope you choose to do that today. I thank each and every one of you all for watching. My name is Dr. Michele D. Clark, and I am the CEO and founder of Lift After Breast Cancer, where we empower high-performing breast cancer survivors to live inspired, free, and transformed.
I love it. Thank you so very much. And I just want to put the event, Lift After Breast Cancer Celebration, Elevation, Transformation Brunch on March 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern, both in person and virtual. And this is the link. So it's www.bit.ly/Lift After Breast Cancer Brunch. Again, www.bit.ly/Lift After Breast Cancer Brunch. This has been amazing. Thank you so very much, Dr. Michele, for coming and just sharing your story, being very transparent, and sharing your vision and your inspiration. I wish you much success in all that you do, continued health and wellness for you and your entire Lift community.
Thank you so much. Is it possible that I can give away a gift as well for those who are watching Choose to Challenge with us today?
Yes.
If you type in Lift 360 for promo code when you register, that will give you a preferred rate. So I'd love to do that for all of your viewers.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you so very much. So again, just type in Lift 360 for your promo code. And I'm going to put this up here again. So go to this link, Lift 360 promo code, and get a discount to attend either the virtual or in-person event. Thank you so very much, Dr. Michele, for being a part of the special edition, Women's History Month, Choose to Challenge. And to our viewing audience, we look forward to seeing you next week for another edition of Choose to Challenge. And just remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. You are not defined by your experience. It only takes a decision, as Dr. Michele reminds us, to be inspired, free, and transformed. Until next week, goodbye, everyone.